So back to KD. Now, there were several trades in the NBA, and for, a period of a few hours, the Lakers actually made a good trade. We'll get to that later. Kevin Durant, who had expressed this past offseason that the Suns would be the team that he would most like to go to, he gets his wish 7 months later. He and T.J. Warren, by the way, maybe a sneaky piece in this deal.
Yep.
Kevin Durant and T.J. Warren go from the Brooklyn Nets to the Phoenix Suns, and in return, the Nets get a 3-and-D special in Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson. There's a Cameron for you, Kelley. Jay Crowder, who probably will be moved, also in the deal. 4 first-round picks. Count them. 4. 2023. That's this year. 2025, 2027, 2029. And then a 2028 pick swap as well. So there it is. And there's a reason, Kelley, that I asked Drew Dinsick, Dan Bespris, anybody, any NBA guest we've had this week. Let me just ask you a question. Who do you think is going to be in the Western Conference Championship?
Yeah.
Because it's bunched up. This is prior to this deal. And it's like, the answers were kind of these lukewarm. I mean, I guess the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. I mean, I guess the Nuggets and the Clippers. That kind of response.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's still bunched up, but the Suns have gone to the front of the line. Plus 230. What was the number you got right before this, Kelley?
Plus 750.
Plus 230 to win the West. And really, besides the Boston Celtics, the short shot now to win the NBA championship. The second short shot at about 5 to 1-ish. Always shop around. But essentially, it's like a plus 250, 5 to 1 kind of thing, consensus. We're showing plus 230 over here at DraftKings for the Suns to win the West. And I guess the first question is that appropriate? My answer is absolutely it is. You, Kelley?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. However, are they a slam dunk to win the Western Conference? Absolutely not. It is still very, very open to me. Look, the one thing we always said from the beginning is if Kevin Durant got traded, what you were going to see is him go to a team that was going to have to give up the vast majority of their quality pieces on their team, right? So it is. Look, the Suns got a great starting lineup. It's awesome. You got Ayton, you got Chris Paul, you got Devin Booker, and it gets really, really thin after that,
well,
right?
Not only does it get really thin, but this is the ultimate push all your chips to the middle of the table move because Chris Paul's going to be 38 in May. KD's going to be 35 before next season starts.
Mm-hmm.
So the window is very tight. But I get it. LeBron James is 38, great, but there's no other evidence to suggest that anyone besides LeBron can play that kind of way.
Right, it's the Tom Brady
thing.
Yep,
exactly. So the window is tight, and the window starts immediately.
Immediately, because also not only the age factors, Gill, the contract factors too, right? Mm-hmm. It becomes more difficult as if you get into year 2, year 3 of Kevin Durant's contract, and you're talking max deals for him, Ayton, Booker, you've got to build around, becomes really difficult to fill a bench. So I do think that you said it absolutely right. It starts, the Suns' title hopes start right now.
Right now.
And I think they need to do a couple more trades here this afternoon to even round out this roster a little bit more. You do have Cameron Payne, who has been out with injury. You do have Landry Shamet, who's been out with injury here recently. Those pieces will help. You've got Torrey Craig there. Dario Saric. It gets real thin. It gets real thin after that starting lineup.
Cam Johnson only played 17 games this year. Jay Crowder didn't at all. So, I mean, it's...
The Jay Crowder parts, right? He sat out wanting to trade anyways. He didn't play an entire single game this year.
And the Nets will move him, I believe.
Yeah, Nets will move him.
Okay, this puts the trade in. Well, this puts all the NBA specific division in context. Let's put it that way. This is from Nate Duncan, who had a great tweet this morning. He said the Pacific Division now includes LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Chris Paul. The Sacramento Kings lead the division. That's where we are currently as we approach the All-Star break in the NBA Pacific Division. I just want to say something beyond the betting implications, which we got into last segment. Can we just step back for a second, Kelley, and think about, because I don't want to be, sometimes we're in the moment, and when things are in the moment, they become normalized. Let's just step back for a second. Can you believe this KD Kyrie thing that we've just been through? Is this the most ridiculous thing we've ever witnessed ever? This was supposed to be, the Brooklyn Nets were supposed to be everything. By the way, with James Harden, too. They played 16 games together, the three of them.
James
16.
Harden, the under-the-radar smartest man alive.
Totally. James Harden deserves it. Say what you will about James Harden. By the way, he's in the rafters at strip clubs. That's what he's most known for. Let's get that straight. But they played 16 games together, and James Harden was like, oh, I'm getting the heck out of here. Get me out of here immediately.
I feel like that whole situation was like, it was like James being like, yo, KD, can you believe this guy over here? And KD's like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Best friend.
Yeah.
And he's like,
that's right.
I got to get out of here.
All right, I'm going to go.
Did you catch Kyrie even had comments after the game last night talking about his hope that Kevin Durant got out of that place.
Yes.
About how basically, basically implying how toxic the Brooklyn Nets are.
Like you had nothing to do with the toxicity.
He had nothing to do with it. And then it's like, I don't know. I don't want to read into it too far, but just keep in mind he is a free agent as of right now this summer. And man, could we actually see those guys get back together?
They're both playing for they're each playing for their fourth different team now.
Also got to keep in mind if you want to play weird NBA conspiracy theory stuff out there.
And I know you do.
Did we just have a Suns sale to a new owner? Yep. Was it expedited? Yep. So he could get in place before this trade deadline? Yep. You've got like a 42-year-old billionaire who came in and said, I want Kevin Durant and I will pay anything it takes. Because, I mean, look, this deal was not being offered last summer. This deal was not being offered.
What did you – well, because a part of that was like, KD was like, I want to go. Oh, okay, no, I'm fine staying here. I mean, what did you want to say about the Rudy Gobert trade now?
Oh, my gosh. So this is if you're sitting at home thinking, look at everything you had to give up for Kevin Durant. Just remember think back to Rudy
Gobert trade was the most ridiculous thing we've ever seen.
Timberwolves send Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Jared Vanderbilt, who will basically all be playing some starting for the Lakers now. Number 22 pick, Walker Kessler, who is going to become the center that the Utah Jazz help build their new team around, and 4 first-round picks. Like, for a guy that's Rudy Gobert and not Kevin Durant.
And 4 first-round picks.
Picks.
That's really the key to me. And 4 first-round picks.
It's the same number of draft picks.
For Rudy Gobert, 4. We said it at the time. This is not like retrospective now. KD, 4. Okay, I get it. It's KD.
Yeah.
Because, again, the object is to win an NBA title. So I don't blame the Phoenix Suns. Like, I get it. Like, this is a big gamble.
Right.
But it is KD. Totally. So I get the gamble.
Totally.
You're all in. The window is tight, and the window begins now. Do you expect any other big trades? I mean, that obviously the trade deadline didn't go away with a whimper now.
I would expect this is going to be a very active next 5 hours. I think that you just started an arms race in the West.
Arms race. That's exactly right.
Where no matter what team you are in the Western Conference, if you have title hopes, maybe you might not have been thinking about adding before Gill, but you now need to start thinking about, how is my team going to match up against the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant?
And I think specifically the Nuggets are that team who has to be like, oh, that offense is going to kill us now.
Mm-hmm.
With Booker, KD, those guys coming back once they're off their injuries, and Chris Paul, all of whom can isolate and score on their own.
Yep.
Ooh, that's kind of kryptonite to you guys.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. And then I think you can look at the other side, right? The East. Is there a team or two out there that feels there's a void now in the East? Or are we all just waving the white flag to Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly?
I was just going to say, again, with apologies to the Sixers, isn't this the Celtics and the Bucks on a collision course?
I mean, I think so, yes. Like, regardless of what happened last night, those are still my two favorites to win the NBA Finals. Would be the Bucks and then the Celtics.
By the way, if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, how are you feeling this morning?
I mean, gutted.
The players control this league.
Yeah.
They control this league. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me. There's nothing you can do about it. It's amazing. It's amazing the evolution of all of this in such a short period of time. These guys, like, what was it? the time. I want to get the timeline on this, and then we'll move on to these NFL awards tonight.
Yeah.
But this is the whole trajectory of this from the beginning was July 2019, the Nets signed Kyrie. Same month they acquire KD from the Warriors via sign and trade. January of 2021, so a year and a half later, they get James Harden from the Rockets. And then a year and a month later, they trade Harden to the Sixers. And then a year after that, they trade Kyrie to the Mavericks. And then yesterday, or today, I guess this morning, KD to the Suns.
I think one of my favorite tweets.
Done.
One of my favorite tweets I saw this morning was finally, we can let Ben Simmons cook.
That's great. And they still have Ben Simmons after all of this.
I do think he's probably going to get traded today. I did see those reports floating on right before we got on the air.
That's awesome. JVT joins us. What we would like to call fortuitous scheduling right before the NBA trade deadline. And, of course, the big one last night, which we've discussed earlier on the show extensively. KD on his way to the Phoenix Suns. And I guess the first question, John, is an appropriate shift in the odds so that the Phoenix Suns are now the Western Conference short shot and only second behind the Celtics to win it all.
I think it's a little extreme. I got to be honest with you. Look, Kevin Durant's awesome. And we just put up a piece up on the website, right, with some analysis on it. The hardcore basketball take here is that the Suns like to run a whole bunch of Spain pick and rolls that involves 3 different players, and he'll fit really wonderfully in those sets when him and Devin Booker and Chris Paul will all run them together. And offensively, I think it's going to be really nice fitting for them. I think where I'm talking about the movement in this extreme, Gill, it's okay, you tell me who their best bench player is, because if it's Campaign or Damian Lee or whoever, it's one thing to have maybe one guy coming off the bench, right? Maybe 2, but you got to have something. And their bench is very thin at this point right now. So I think that is something that ultimately holds them back. And I think when you look at the shape of the Western Conference, let's just assume, because I'm going to, that a team like the Golden State Warriors are going to be fully healthy once we get into the postseason. Well, it's a team that has a bunch of stuff to throw at Phoenix that can match up relatively well, right? They can put Draymond Green on Kevin Durant. They can put Klay Thompson on a Devin Booker type. They'll be comfortable with Chris Paul on Steph Curry. They have these different options for them defensively that when they're fully healthy in a best-of-7 series, they can still match up pretty well with Phoenix. So while Kevin Durant's awesome, and the Suns should be very good and comfortably into the postseason and very much a threat to win the NBA Finals in the Western Conference, to say that now a team that lacks the depth that they do is just behind the Boston Celtics, better than the Milwaukee Bucks, better than the Philadelphia 76ers, better than the Golden State Warriors at full strength, that's where I kind of tend to pump the brakes on this. I mean, even look at this, plus 425 to 7-1 for the Bucks to win the NBA Finals. I don't think there's that gap between Phoenix and Milwaukee.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. That looks a little off to me. As much as what you're saying about the Warriors matching up with them makes me smile, because I love what you're saying there.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.